for today's class of Bhagavatam, and we are in the second canto, fifth chapter, and we have completed the first 8 shlokas till now, and this is talking about the cosmic manifestation, and till now what we have seen is that Narad Muni is asking Brahmaji as to what are the wait a minute. As to what are he is asking different questions regarding the cosmic manifestation. He is first asking about the causes of this earth, and he is asking that what is the transcendental knowledge which you received, and then he is also asking what is the symptoms of this world, what is the background, how was it created and how is it conserved, and who is controlling this. And at the same time, he is also asking what is the source of your knowledge. So he is not assuming. Narad Muni, we all know that Narad Muni is a self-realized soul. For the benefit of everyone, he is asking, for those who think that Brahma is creating everything on his own, he is asking the question, what is the source of your knowledge? Who is, you are under whose protection? Under whom you are working? What is your real position? So many questions he is asking. Basically, the question of Narada Muni is that who is the source? Who is the energy behind your potency to create? So this is the question which is being asked by Narada Muni to Lord Brahma. And the answers of Lord Brahma are starting from today's shloka, which is shloka number 259. So we will try to cover 5 shlokas for today. 7 shlokas for today, from 2.5, 0.9 till 15. We will start with the pranam mantra or the Mangalacharan. So the reason behind the pranam mantra or the Mangalacharan, as we have seen in the previous classes, are basically 2 things. One is to give the intelligence. We are praying to the Lord to give us the intelligence to understand the shlokas. And second, part B is that we are also praying to the Lord to give us the determination by which we can implement the instruction given in the shlokas. These are the essence of the prayers which are coming in the Mangalacharan or Pranam mantra. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiryayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So let me share the screen. So just let me know if all of you are able to see the screen now. Hare Krishna, or no?
It is coming up, Prabhuji, not yet.
It has still not come up.
Okay. There is some problem, I think.
Rao Prabhu, do you want to share?
Yeah, I can share, Prabhuji. Sure.
It has come up, Prabhuji.
Okay. One minute. Let me. It
Sure,
is not
Prabhuji.
coming in a proper way. Don't know whether it's
Your
a problem with.
yeah. Your desktop is visible, Prabhuji. Now
That's what. I shared the window. I will stop sharing and reshare again.
Yeah.
So let me see whether it comes properly. I hope now it is coming properly.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, now it is coming up.
Hare Krishna. So today's first shloka, Srimad Bhagavatam, second chapter, fifth canto, shloka number 9. Brahmavacha samyak karunikashyedam vatsate vichikiksitam yad adam yad aham chodita saumya bhagavad virya darshane. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma said, My dear boy Narada, being merciful to all, including me, you have asked all these questions because I have been inspired to see into the prowess of the Almighty Personality of Godhead. So can I request Rao Prabhu to read the purport? Hare Krishna.
Sure, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Purport, Brahmaji, being so questioned by Naradaji, congratulated him, for it is usual for the devotees to become very enthusiastic whenever they are questioned concerning the Almighty Personality of Godhead. That is a sign of a pure devotee of the Lord. Such discourses on the transcendental activities of the Lord purify the atmosphere in which such discussions are held, and the devotees thus become enlivened while answering such questions. It is purifying both for the questioners and for one who answered the questions. The pure devotees are not only satisfied by knowing everything about the Lord, but are also eager to broadcast the information to others, for they want to see that the glories of the Lord are known to everyone. Thus, the devotee feels satisfied when such an opportunity is offered to him. This is the basic principle of missionary activities. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So, in this shloka, Lord Brahma is expressing his happiness that Narada Muni has asked these questions, which are kind of inquisitive and leading Brahmaji to explain about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Srila Prabhupada rightly explains, very clear, very nicely explains that whenever the devotees are asked any kind of questions or inquiries about the Lord, they become very happy because it gives them an opportunity to discuss about the Lord. So this is very nicely coming in the Chaturshloki of Bhagavad Gita also, where the shloka says Dushyanti cha Ramanti cha. So when the devotees discuss about the Supreme Lord, they become very happy. So they don't want to discuss about material things. So when I was in gardens, we had one of our senior devotees taking class in our Bhakti Vriksha, and he said that if two devotees meet and talk about going to a movie, it is pure nonsense. So like that, So in the Bhagavad Gita Chaturshloki, it is very nicely mentioned that devotees get unlimited pleasure by discussing topics about the Lord. Dushyanti cha, Ramanti cha. Ramanti means they get so much of pleasure. So the same thing which is coming out in this shloka also. So when Narad Muni raised the questions about the creation, mainly about who is the energy behind the potency of Lord Brahma, he was very happy that now he is getting an opportunity to talk about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada brings one more nice point, that the pure devotees are not only satisfied by knowing everything, but are also eager to broadcast the information to others. So, Srila Prabhupada always used to say that we all of us know this three lines. Purity is the force, books are the basis, and preaching is the essence. So Srila Prabhupada used to say so much about the importance of preaching, and he used to say that uphold and broadcast. So which means it is whatever we need to do, it is not only essential to practice, but at the same time, it is also necessary to preach. So the this particular shloka, Brahmaji has become very happy because he has got an opportunity to speak about the Lord, and he is also happy because he is able to talk about the Lord to others also. So this is the first shloka, 259. Let us go to the next shloka, 2.5.10. Na anrutam tava tacchapi yata mam prabravisi bo avijñāya param matta etavatvam yato hi me. So the meaning of the shloka is that whatever you have spoken, translation purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada, whatever you have spoken about me is not false, because unless and until one is aware of the personality of Godhead, who is the ultimate truth beyond me, one is sure to be illusioned by observing my powerful activities. So one of the questions of Narada Muni was that who is the source behind your energy? So now Lord Brahma says this is true because now we have to know who is the ultimate truth behind me, who is the strength behind my creating, who is the energy behind my ability to create, behind my ability to do srishti. And just by casually observing me, if someone thinks I am able to do this creation on my own, so they become illusioned. So what he has spoken is true. He is telling about the question of Narada Muni, where he is asking, who is the source behind your energy? So Srila Prabhupada has written a very nice purport. Can I request Panchatattva Das to read the purport? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, Prabhu.
Just a moment. The frog in the well. Logic illustrates that a frog residing in the atmosphere and boundary of a well cannot imagine the length and breadth of the gigantic ocean. Such a frog, when informed of the gigantic length and breadth of the ocean, first of all, does not believe that there is such an ocean. And if someone assures him that factually there is such a thing, the frog then begins to measure it by imagination, by means of pumping its belly as far as possible, with the result that the tiny abdomen of the frog bursts and the poor frog dies without any experience of the actual ocean. Similarly, the material scientists also want to challenge the inconceivable potency of the Lord by measuring him with their frog-like brains and their scientific achievements. But at the end, they simply die unsuccessfully like the frog. Sometimes a materially powerful man is accepted as God or incarnation of God without any knowledge of the actual God. Such a material assessment may be gradually extended, and the attempt may reach to the highest limit of Brahmaji, who is the topmost living being within the universe and has a duration of life unimaginable to the material scientist. As we get information from the most authentic book of knowledge, the Bhagavad Gita, 8.17, Brahmaji's one day and night is calculated to some hundreds of thousands of years of our planet. This long duration of life may not be believed by the frog in the well, but persons who have realization of the truth mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Except the existence of a great personality who creates the variegatedness of the complete universe. It is understood from the revealed scriptures that Brahmaji of this universe is younger than all other Brahmas in charge of many, many universes beyond this, but none of them can equal to the personality of Godhead. Naraji is one of the liberated souls, and after his liberation, he was known as Narada. Otherwise, before his liberation, he was simply a son of a maid servant. The questions may be asked why Naraji was not aware of the Supreme Lord and why he misconceived Brahmaji to be the Supreme Lord, although factually he was not. A liberated soul is never bewildered by such a mistaken idea. So why did Naraji ask all those questions just like an ordinary man with a poor fund of knowledge? There was such bewilderment in Arjuna also, although he's eternally the associate of the Lord. Such bewilderment in Arjuna or in Narada takes place by the will of the Lord, so that other non-liberated persons may realize the real truth and knowledge of the Lord. The doubt arising in the mind of Narada about Brahmaji's becoming all-powerful is a lesson for the frogs in the well, that they may not be bewildered in misconceiving the identity of the all-powerful, so that they may not be bewildered in misconceiving the identity of the personality of Godhead, even by comparison to a personality like Brahma. So what to speak of ordinary men who falsely pose themselves as God or an incarnation of God? The Supreme Lord is always supreme. And as we have tried to establish many times in these purports, no living being, even up to the standard of Brahma, can claim to be one with the Lord. One should not be misled when people worship a great man as God after his death as a matter of hero worship. There are many kings like Lord Ramchandra, the king of Ayodhya, but none of them are mentioned as God in the revealed scriptures. To be a good king is not necessarily the qualifications of being for being Lord Rama, but to be a great personality like Krishna is the qualification for being personality of Godhead. If we scrutinize the characters who took part in the battle of Kurukshetra, we may find that Maharaj Yudhishthira was no less a pious king than Lord Ramachandra, and by character study Maharaj Yudhishthira was a better moralist than Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna asked Maharaj Yudhishthira to lie, but Maharaj Yudhishthira protested. But this does not mean that Maharaj Yudhishthira could be equal to Lord Ramchandra or Lord Krishna. The great authorities have estimated Maharaj Yudhishthira to be a pious man, but they have accepted Lord Rama or Krishna as a personality of Godhead. The Lord is therefore a different identity in all circumstances, and no idea of anthropomorphism can be applied to him. The Lord is always the Lord, and the common living being can never be equal to him. I
Hare
guess that's all.
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So, in the purport, there are several points which have been very nicely brought out by Srila Prabhupada. The first, he is talking about the frog in the well logic, which is nothing but our intelligence is limited, and very often we try to understand the unlimited Lord by our limited intelligence. And when we do that, what happens? So this is explained by the analogy of the frog in the well. So when someone comes and tells the frog about the ocean, so it tries to estimate the expanse by its imagination. Similarly, if we try to estimate the potencies or the glories of the Lord by our understanding, then it will never be correct. So the only thing which we need to do is to learn from the Pramanic, from the disciplic succession, and accept it with faith. So that is the first point which has been brought out. And the second point is the mistake if you try to use material logic in trying to create some kind of a benchmark for the Lord. So he is very nicely giving an example of Yudhishthira Maharaj and Lord Krishna, where all of us know that Yudhishthira Maharaj was called as Dharmaraj, and he never used to lie. And we all know that due to different pastimes, Lord Krishna has used versions, has used facts in a different way for Amavasya and different events. So, but nobody has accepted Yudhishthira Maharaj as a Lord and Lord Krishna as otherwise. So, he is very clearly telling in this example, Srila Prabhupada is clearly explained that we should not try to create material benchmarks or standards to understand Lord. So Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is the way he is. And he has to be accepted as Lord Krishna as it is. So we cannot give logic, or we cannot, what shall I say, try to come up with some kind of our own understanding as to why he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he stated so in the scriptures and accepted by authorities in the disciplic succession. As simple as that. So these are the things which are brought out in this shloka. Let us go to the next one, which is shloka number 11. Ena swarochi sa viswam rochitam rochayamyaham yatargo agniryata somo yatarksha grahatarakaha. So the meaning of the shloka, I create after the Lord's creation by his personal effulgence, known as the Brahma Jyoti. Just as when the sun manifests its fire, the moon, the firmament, the influential planets, and the twinkling stars also manifest their brightness. So in this shloka, Lord Brahma says that I create after the manifestation of the Lord, which is called as Brahma Jyoti, impersonal manifestation. And he is also giving an example that when the sun manifests its fire, all the other planets like the moon and the stars, they also manifest their brightness. So basically, Lord Brahma is telling that my creation is based on the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I can see that His Grace Jagan Prabhu is also there, and actually talking about Srimad Bhagavatam, when senior devotees like Jagan Prabhu are there, is committing Maryada Vyatikrama. So I offer my obeisances to him and all the devotees. Can I request Jagan Prabhu to read the purport? Hare Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna. Sushil Kumar Prabhu, are you there?
Yes, Prabhu.
Can you read the purport, Prabhu? Hare Krishna.
Sure, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Lord Brahmaji said to Narad that his impression that Brahma was not the supreme authority in the creation was correct. Sometimes less intelligent men have the foolish impression that Brahma is the cause of all causes. But Narad wanted to clear the matter by the statements of Brahmaji, the supreme authority in the universe. As the decision of the Supreme Court of a state is final, similarly, the judgment of Brahmaji, the supreme authority in the universe, is final in the Vedic process of acquiring knowledge. As we have already affirmed in the previous verse, Naradji was a liberated soul. Therefore, he was not one of the less intelligent men who accept a false god and or gods in their own ways. He represented himself as less intelligent and yet intelligently presented a doubt to be cleared by the supreme authority so that the uninformed might take note of it and be rightly informed about the intricacies of the creation and the creator. In the verse, Brahmaji clears up the wrong impression held by the less intelligent and affirms that he creates the universal variegatedness after the creation by the glaring effulgence of the Lord Krishna. Brahmaji has also separately given this statement in the Samhita known as Brahma Samhita 5.40, which he says, Yasya Prabha Prabhavto Jagdand Koti Vishesh Sudha Dev Bhuti Bhinam Tadyam Nishkalam Tant Mashet Bhutam Govind Adi Purusham Tamham Bhajami.
1 minute, Prabhu. Yasya prabha prabhavato jagadanda koti svashesa vasudadi vibhuti binnam tadbrahma nishkalamanantamasesha bhutam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Yes, Prabhu.
I serve the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose transcendental bodily effulgence, known as the Brahma Jyoti, which is unlimited, unfathomed, and all-pervasive, is the cause of the creation of unlimited number of planets, etc., with varieties of climates and specific conditions of life. In the same statement is in Bhagavad Gita 14.27. Lord Krishna is the background of the Brahma Jyoti. Brahmano hi pratishtham. In the Nikruti or Vedic dictionary, the import of pratishtha is mentioned as that which establishes. So the Brahmajyoti is not independent or self-sufficient. Lord Shri Krishna is ultimately the creator of the Brahmajyoti, mentioned in his verse as Sava Roshika, or the effulgence of the transcendental body of the Lord. The Brahmajyoti is all-pervading, and all creation is made possible by its power. Therefore, the Vedic hymns declare that everything that exists is being sustained by the Brahmajyoti. Sarva Khalev Idam Brahma. Therefore, the potent seed of all creation is the Brahmajyoti, and the same Brahmajyoti, unlimited and unfathomed, is established by the Lord. Therefore, the Lord Shri Krishna is ultimately the supreme cause of all creation. Aham Sarvasya Prabhavash. One should not expect the Lord to create like a blacksmith with a hammer and other instruments. The Lord creates by his potencies. He has his multifarious potencies. Pasya Saktir Vivade Shriyate. Just as the small seed of the banyan fruit has the potency to create a big banyan tree, the Lord disseminates all varieties of seeds by his potent Brahma Jyoti, and the seeds are made to develop by the watering process of persons like Brahma. Brahma cannot create the seeds, but he can manifest the seeds into a tree, just as a gardener helps plants and orchards to grow by the watering process. The example cited here of the sun is very appropriate. In the material world, the sun is the cause of all illumination, fire, electricity, and the rays of the moon, etc. All luminaries in the sky are creations of the sun. The sun is the creation of the Brahma Jyoti, and the Brahma Jyoti is the effulgence of the Lord. Thus, the ultimate cause of creation is the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So, again, there are several things which is brought about in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. So, the meaning of the shloka is that Lord Brahma says that the energy for my creation is actually coming from the Lord, and the example is given from the of the sun. And in the purport, very nicely he says that if the true requirement of a devotee is to present themselves as less intelligent to someone who is senior, who is senior in nature. So when Narada Muni asked the question to Lord Brahma, he didn't put the question in a very argumentative way. He asked in a very humble way. If you see the shlokas 5 to 8, he was actually talking about the glories of Lord Brahma. And first, in the first 4 shlokas, 1 to 4, he asked a question. And then in the next shlokas 5 to 8, he talked about the glories of Lord Brahma. So, the way the inquisitiveness has to be is that it has to be humble. It should not be argumentative. The way the question and answer sessions happens in today's classes is a very argumentative kind of version, what we see in the material world. But here it is very clearly told that it has to be put forth in a very humble way. And he says that the questioner is presenting himself as less intelligent. And in the second shloka, Srila Prabhupada is giving the example, quoting the shloka from the Brahma Samhita. Yasya prabha prabhavato jagadanda kotim. So where Lord Brahma says, I actually serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and whose body is the cause of the creation of all the planets. And then again he is giving examples from the Bhagavad Gita 14.27. And in the last shloka, he says that the way the creation is happening, the Srishti is happening, is different from how material things happen. For example, if we have to construct a building, we have to do it physically in terms of creating a design, creating a working model, then putting people to work, putting all kinds of equipments, materials, and all those things. Whereas the Lord does not do like that. He says that Prabhupada very nicely, clearly tells, one should not expect the Lord to create like a blacksmith with a hammer and other instruments. The Lord creates just by his potency. He has to just decide. So that is called a Sankalpa Shakti. The moment the Lord decides, everything else happens. This is the difference between creation by human beings and creation by the Lord. So this is shloka number 11. Let us go to the next shloka, which is shloka number 12. Second canto, 5th chapter, shloka number 12. Tasmai namo bhagavate vasudevaya dhimahi yenmayaya durjayaya mam vadanti jagadgurum. The meaning of the shloka is that I offer my obeisances and meditate upon Lord Krishna, Vasudeva, the personality of Godhead, whose invincible potency influences them, the less intelligent class of men, to call me the supreme controller. So he says that the less intelligent people call him as a supreme controller, but I offer my obeisances to Lord Krishna, whose invincible potency influences them to call me as a supreme controller. So Brahma says that Lord Krishna sometimes puts people into Maya so that they think that Brahma is the creator. Let us understand more through the purport of Srila Prabhupada. Can I request Nehal Pitadia, Mataji? Hare Krishna. If
Hare
you
Krishna,
can read the
Prabhuji.
purport. Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As will be more clearly explained in the next verse, the illusory potency of the Lord bewilders the less intelligent to accept Brahmaji, or for the matter any other person, as Supreme Lord. Brahmaji, however, refuses to be called this, and he directly offers a respectful obeisance unto Lord Vasudeva or Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, as he has already offered the same respect to him in the Brahma Samhita. Ishvara Parama Krishna. Prabhuji, please, can you help? Satchit
Yes, Mataji.
Vigraha.
Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Yes, Mataji, you can continue.
The Supreme Lord is the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, the primeval Lord in his transcendental body, the ultimate cause of all causes. I worship that primeval Lord Govinda. Brahmaji is conscious of his actual position, and he knows how less intelligent persons, bewildered by the illusory energy of Lord, whimsically accept anyone and everyone as God. A responsible personality like Brahmaji refuses to be addressed as Supreme Lord by his disciples or subordinates, but foolish persons praised by men of the nature of dogs, hogs, camels, and asses feel flattered to be addressed as the Supreme Lord. Why such person take pleasure in being addressed as God, or why such persons are addressed as God by foolish admirers is explained in the following verse. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So in this shloka, Lord Brahma offers his obeisances to Lord Krishna, and he also tells that it is the Maya potency which is making the people to think that Brahma is the creator. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada very nicely uses the very first shloka of Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna. So here Ishvara means controller, Parama means supreme. The supreme controller of everyone is Lord Krishna. Anadiradir Govinda, he has no beginning and no end. Sarva Karana Karanam, he is also the cause of all causes. And he says that Satchit Ananda Vigraha. So he is the form of true eternal bliss. So we all of us are searching for happiness, but we don't know where to find the happiness. And this first shloka of Brahma Samhita says that Lord Krishna is the form of true, which is Sat, and then Chit, eternal, means the happiness which is true, the happiness which is permanent, and Ananda, bliss. So the happiness which is eternal and which is true, the form of that you can get it only from Lord Krishna. And Brahma very clearly knows that there are people who just by since because they see that Lord Brahma is creating, they think that he is a supreme controller. And but for example, if this happens to us, we like to take the credit. But Lord Brahma is not like that. He very clearly tells that I am not the supreme controller, rather Lord Krishna is the supreme controller and I pay obeisances unto him. And in the last line, Srila Prabhupada says, why people take up to false gods? Why people take up materialistic persons and consider themselves as God is going to be explained in the next shloka. So let us go to the next shloka, which is shloka number 13. Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd Canto, 5th chapter, shloka number 13. Vilajjamanaya yasya Vilajjamanaya yasya Statum ikshapate muya Statum ikshapate muya Vimohita vikattante Vimohita vikattante Mamaham iti durdiya Mamaham iti durdiya Vilajjamanaya yasya Statum iksha pate muya vimohita vikattante mamaham iti durdiya. So the meaning of the shloka, Lord Brahma says, the illusory energy of the Lord cannot take precedence, being ashamed of her position. So here Lord Brahma is talking about Maya. But those who are bewildered by her always talk nonsense, being absorbed in thoughts of it is I and it is mine. So Lord Brahma says, factually, Maya doesn't come in the front. Maya is always behind Lord Krishna because she is ashamed of her position, trying to put people under illusion. But what happens when we always when we think about I and me, I, me and mine? So what happens is we don't see Lord Krishna, we only see Maya. So because when we think about I, me and mine, we start talking nonsense. Why is that? In the Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned about 3 types of austerities, and one of the austerity is austerity of speech, and in austerity of speech it says swa adhyaya abhyasanam chaiva. So which means, so one of the main austerity of speech is talking about the Lord and talking about the Lord only. So it is also called as maunam. So maunam doesn't mean silence. Maunam means stop talking about nonsense. Talk only about the Lord. So here Brahma is using the reverse analogy. So he says that since we don't think about the Lord, since we don't remember the Lord, instead of seeing the Lord, we see Maya. And that is the reason, since we are influenced by Maya, we think about people who are not God, but we consider themselves as God. And in that way, people consider me as the creator. Let us try to understand little bit more detail by going through the purport. Can I request Uday Prabhu to read the purport? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. The invisibly powerful building energy of the personality of God, or the third energy representing nescience, can build over the entire world of animation. But still, she is not strong enough to be able to stand in front of the Supreme Lord. Nescience is behind the personality of Godhead, where she is powerful enough to mislead the living being, and the primary symptom of bewildered persons is that they talk nonsense. Nonsensical talk are not supported by the principle of Vedic literatures. And first grade nonsense talk is, it is I, it is mine. A godless civilization is exclusively conducted by such false ideas and such persons without any factual realization of the God, accept a false God or falsely declare themselves to be God, to mislead persons who are already bewildered by the divulging energy. Those who are before the Lord, however, and who surrender unto Him cannot be influenced by the divulging energy. Therefore, they are free from the misconception of it is I, it is mine, and therefore they do not accept a false God or post themselves as equal to the Supreme Lord. Identification of the bewildered person is distinctly given in this verse. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So, in this shloka, where it says that Maya as such cannot take precedence over the Lord, but when we forget about Lord Krishna, so what happens is that we are directly we get bewildered by her. And Prabhupada very nicely starts the purport by telling the invincibly powerful deluding energy, or the third energy is representing Maya, can bewilder the entire world of animation. But she is not strong enough to stand in front of the Supreme Lord. So it is very nicely brought out even in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 7th chapter, shloka number 14, it says, Devi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mamevaye Prapadyante Mayam Yetam Tarantite. Devi Esha Gunamayi. So this Maya is one of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Devi Esha. So she is also a divine energy. Mama Maya Duratyaya. Duratyaya means very difficult. So she is very powerful, and overcoming Maya is not very easy. But Maya Myetam Tarantite. Mama Maya Duratyaya Mamaivayi Prapadyante. So, but if someone surrenders to Lord Krishna, what happens? Maya Myetam Tarantite. Tarantite means crossing over. So we can easily cross over Lord Krishna. So what happens when we don't surrender to Lord Krishna? It is that we indulge in nonsense talk. So very nicely, Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport, what is the meaning of nonsense? So Prabhupada is giving an exact definition of what is meant by nonsense. Prabhupada says, nonsensical talks are those which are not supported by the basic principles of Vedic literature. So whatever is not supported by Vedic literature, Shastras, is just nonsense. And how do we understand that whatever a person is speaking is nonsense? If there is too much of I, if there is too much of mind, we should understand that it is such nonsense. And why it is happening? Because they don't surrender to Lord Krishna. And since they don't surrender to Lord Krishna, they are bewildered by Maya. And in the last few lines, Lord Krishna says that if someone is surrendering to Lord Krishna, they can never be influenced by Maya. And when they are not influenced by Maya, they are free from the misconception of I and mine. And when they are free from those misconceptions, they don't accept a false God on the one hand. On the other hand, they also don't consider themselves to be equal to God. So both are important. We should not consider ourselves as in one way or the another equal to having the strength of the Lord. On the other hand, we should not be foolish enough to accept anybody and everybody as God. So today, India is a supermarket of demigods, and it is very important that we understand who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and don't fall prey to all those who proclaim themselves to be God. So let us go to the next shloka, shloka number 14. Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd Canto, 5th chapter, shloka number 14. Dravyam karma cha kalascha, dravyam karma cha kalascha, swabhavo jiva eva cha, swabhavo jiva eva cha, vasudevat paro brahman, vasudevat paro brahman, nachanyo artosti tatvatah, nachanyortosti tatvatah, dravyam karma cha kalascha, swabhavo jiva eva cha, vasudevat paro brahman, na cha ato sthitatvatah. The meaning of the shloka is that the 5 elementary ingredients of creation, the interaction thereof set up by eternal time, and the intuition or nature of the individual living beings are all differentiated parts and parcels of the personality of Godhead Vasudeva, and in truth, there is no other value in them. So this particular shloka, it says that the 5 elementary ingredients of creation, Bhumi Rapo na Lo Vayuhu. So those 5 creations, Bhumi, the earth, Apo means ether, Vayu, the air, Anal means Agni, fire, and then the water. These 5 elementary creations, their interaction, which is done based on time, and the intuition of the nature of all the individual living beings are nothing but parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he says, Brahma says, everything which is animate or inanimate, they are nothing but part and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Other than being part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no other value. So the only value which we have as jivas, and not only as all the living entities, or that the only value is that we are parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if we see ourselves as different from the Lord, there is no value in us. That is what Lord Brahma is telling. Let us try to understand more by the purport. I can see Amit Prabhu. Can you read the purport, Prabhu? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Purport by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This phenomenal world is impersonally the representation of Vasudeva because the ingredients of its creation, their interaction and the enjoyer of the resultant action, the living being, are all produced by the external and internal energies of the Lord Krishna. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 7.4 to 5. The ingredients, namely ether, water, fire, air, and sky, as well as the conception of material identity, intelligence, and the mind, are produced of the external energy of the Lord. The living entity who enjoys the interactions of the above gross and subtle ingredients, as set up by eternal time, is an offshoot of internal potency with freedom to remain either in material world or in the spiritual world. In the material world, the living entity is enticed by deluding nescience, but in the spiritual world, he is in the normal condition of spiritual existence without any delusion. The living entity is known as the marginal potency of the Lord, but in all circumstances, neither the material ingredients nor the spiritual part and parcels are independent of the personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. For all the things, whether products of external, internal, or marginal potencies of the Lord, are simply displays of the same effulgence of the Lord, just as light, heat, and smoke are displays of fire. None of them are separate from the fire. All of them combine together to be called fire. Similarly, all phenomenal manifestations, as well as the effulgence of the body of Vasudeva, are his impersonal features, whereas he eternally exists in his transcendental form called Satchid Ananda Vigraha. Brahma Samhita 5.1. Distinct from all conceptions of the material ingredients mentioned above. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So this shloka, very clearly, the message is only one thing. Whatever we see in this material world, which is animate or inanimate, are nothing but the parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the only value which they have is that they are their amsas. The moment we consider them differently from the Lord, they don't have any value. So there are so many examples, like the hair in our head. The moment it comes out from that, it doesn't have any value. So like that, each and every element in this earth, they have their value only as long as we understand them as the parts and parcels of Lord Krishna. So that is the main message in this shloka. Let us go to the next shloka, shloka number 15, the last shloka for today, Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd Canto, 5th chapter, shloka number 15. Narayana Paraveda Deva Narayanangajaha Gajaha Narayana Paraloka Narayana Paramakaha. So it says, translation purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. The Vedic literatures are made by and meant for the Supreme Lord. The demigods are also meant for serving the Lord as parts of his body. The different planets are also meant for the sake of the Lord, and different sacrifices are performed just to please him. So basically, this is again a repetition of the first canto, second chapter, which starts with Vasudeva Paraveda. The same message is coming here. So each and everything are basically meant for the Lord. The Shastras are made by the Lord, and They are also meant to please the Lord. The demigods are meant to serve the Lord. All the planets are also created by the Lord indirectly and also meant to serve Him in one way or the other. And all the sacrifices are also performed just to please Him. So basically the essence is that all the activities in this material world and the spiritual world are supposed to be or considered, we have to consider them as directly or indirectly connected and meant to please Lord Krishna. That is the main of this shloka. Can I request Sumati Mataji to read the purport? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ji, Jai Srila Prabhupada. According to the Vedanta Sutras, Shastra Unitvat, the Supreme Lord is the author of all revealed scriptures, and all revealed scriptures are for knowing the Supreme Lord. Veda means knowledge that leads to the Lord. The Vedas are made just to revive the forgotten consciousness of the conditioned souls, and any literature not meant for reviving God consciousness is rejected at once by the Narayana Para devotees. Such deluding books of knowledge, not having Narayan as their aim, are not at all knowledge, but are the playgrounds for crows who are interested in the rejected refuse of the world. Any book of knowledge, science or art, must lead to the knowledge of Narayana, otherwise it must be rejected. That is the way of advancement of knowledge. The supreme worshipable deity is Narayana. The demigods are recommended secondarily for worship in relation to Narayan because the demigods are assisting hands in the management of the universal affairs. As the officers of a kingdom are respected due to their relation to the king, the demigods are worshipped due to their relation to the Lord. Without the Lord's relation, worship of the demigods is unauthorized. Avidhi purvakam. Just as it is improper to water the leaves and branches of the tree without watering its root. Therefore, the demigods are also dependent on Narayana. The lokas or different planets are attractive because they have different varieties of life and bliss, partially representing the Satchidanand Vigraha. Everyone wants the eternal life of bliss and knowledge. In the material world, such an eternal life of bliss and knowledge is progressively realized in the upper planets. But after reaching there, one is inclined to achieve further progress along the path back to Godhead. Duration of life with a proportionate quantity of bliss and knowledge may be increased from one planet to another. One can increase the duration of life to thousands and hundreds of thousands of years in different planets, but nowhere is there eternal life. But one who can reach the highest planet, that of Brahma, can aspire to reach the planets in the spiritual sky where life is eternal. Therefore, the progressive journey from one planet to another culminates in reaching the supreme planet of the Lord, Madham, where life is eternal and full of bliss and knowledge. All different kinds of sacrifice are performed just to satisfy Lord Narayana with a view to reach him, and the best sacrifice recommended in this age of Kali is Sankirtan Yagna, the mainstay of the devotional service of a Narayan Para devotee. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So in this particular shloka, Lord Brahma says that whatever is there in this world, the Vedas, the demigods, everything are basically meant to serve Lord Krishna. And it is very fine, very nicely explained that even knowledge which is not relevant to Lord Krishna should be rejected. And finally, it talks about the sacrifice. So Lord Krishna very clearly says in Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, Yajnosmi, Yajnanam Japa Yajnosmi. Of all the sacrifices, the chanting of the holy name is me. So if we want to do a sacrifice for this Kali Yuga, all we need to do is to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So when we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra with love and with faith, so it is equivalent to performing the sacrifice which is meant for this Kali Yuga. And when we do that and follow the 4 regulative principles, Srila Prabhupada has given a guarantee that we can go back home, back to Godhead in this life itself. So with this, I conclude today's class, and we have covered 7 shlokas today, shloka number 9 to 15 in the second canto, 5th chapter, and I thank His Grace Subal Prabhu for giving me an opportunity to talk about the Lord and to talk about Srimad Bhagavatam. And I also thank all the devotees who have listened to me patiently. So we have senior devotees like Subal Prabhu and Amrit Madhav Prabhu, Panchatattva Prabhu. If please feel free to add any comments, and if there are any questions, please feel free to ask. By the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, Krishna, Guru Maharaj, and each and every one of you, we shall try to understand Hare Krishna.
Bandhu Baldev Prabhu ki jai. Prabhu, thank you so much. Wonderful, excellent class. Very nice, Prabhu. Supermarket of demigods. I like that point very much, Prabhu. Anybody has any question? Please feel free. Please, in case you have any feedback, any positive that you want to speak, please feel free.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, one small question.
Yes, Rao Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hello, Prabhuji.
Yes, please go ahead, Prabhu. Rao Prabhu, you can go ahead. Please, you can ask your question. Hare Krishna. Rao Prabhu, you are able to hear me?
No, Prabhuji. Now I am able to hear you.
Okay. You want to go ahead? Please, you can ask your question.
Yes, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, one small question. Generally, there will be a small disagreement will be there in the family when we donate the money. So they will say that and if Sankirtana Yajna is there, then you do your Sankirtana, your chanting and all those things, then why to donate the money? So generally, a little bit of fight will happen on the personal front. What do you suggest?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the question. So in the Bhagavad Gita 12th chapter, there are 5 shlokas starting from 8 to 12, which talks about what are the different ways in which we can serve the Lord. So chanting of the holy name of the Lord is for our purification. At the same time, to ensure that we get detached from this material world, it is also recommended that whatever we have, we try to use it in Lord Krishna's service, and one of that is our funds. So Yatha Shakti, so there is no particular amount or anything which is required. So whatever is Yatha Shakti, if we put it in the service of the Lord, so it is for our purification. It is not for the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for the question and the answers also, Prabhu. Anybody, any other question? Doesn't look like. So, okay. So we can suspend our Bhagavad classes session for this week. We will resume tomorrow. So thank you all for joining. Thank you, Bandhu Baldev Prabhu, for this wonderful class. We'll see
Thank
you.
you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Prabhu.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.